Do you know what time it is? It's tea time with Mamé and Liz.
Welcome to Tea Time with Mamé and Liz.
I'm Mamé.
I'm Liz.
Wait. We are two of the four co-founders of Believe in What's Possible, a youth-led and youth-centered organization that works to reveal, center, and support youth voice within Minnesota's local politics. So, Liz, what are we talking about today?
Let's get into it. Have you ever heard of the Minneapolis Charter Commission?
I recently have, but I don't know too much about it.
Yeah. Kind of weird how it's so low-key. Like, I didn't hear about
Right.
it until like a few months ago. But like, why is it so on the down low?
Well, it's politics.
So the Minneapolis Charter Commission is a group of 15 individuals that come together and they maintain the city charter for Minneapolis.
Right.
And the city charter is like kind of like our constitution for the city.
Okay.
So it defines like the organization, the powers and functions of our city government. So that's pretty big time, right, for these 15 people.
Right.
So, like the U.S. Constitution, the city charter sometimes needs to be amended, right? So amendments to the city charter are actually voted upon by the people, but the Minneapolis Charter Commission can propose amendments. They can also review amendments made by the Minneapolis City Council, and they can make like recommendations. The Minneapolis Charter Commission also is a part of the redistricting group. So they get to make decisions on park and ward boundaries.
Right. And so they have a lot of power.
They do have a lot of power.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And is it a process that is voted on, appointed? How do people get into the chart, like become a part of the charter?
Funny you say that because they are not elected. That's so crazy.
Okay.
So it's this unelected body of people that have a good amount of power in some of these processes.
How do they get into the position?
Yeah, it's an open appointments process. So basically, like you apply, I think any Minneapolis resident can apply, but you have to have like a certain amount of things, like you have to have 3 references, and you have to answer a bunch of questions, and then basically a judge, I think it's the chief judge of Hennepin County, makes the decision ultimately on who gets it.
Do we know who's currently in it? What's the makeup? If any of that information?
Yeah, I personally looked up all 15 members.
Okay.
And there was a lot of lobbyists and a lot of lawyers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So lobbyists and lawyers.
That was the majority of the makeup. As well as a few like community members that do other things, but like it was definitely giving a lead, in my opinion. Also, I think there's members that have been on it for like over a decade.
What?
Because there's no term limits. So a term I think is 4 years, but you can apply as many times as you want. So you could be on it multiple times. Like literally
forever.
Literally. So like there's people that have been on it for like over a decade.
Also, I'm not saying that. But like they're older.
Yeah, there's a lot of older folks. I don't believe there was anyone like in their 20s or younger than that.
So let me go through it again. So basically you apply to be on the Charter Commission.
Yeah.
And then you are appointed by the head judge of the county, of Hennepin County?
Yeah,
chief judge? Okay.
I couldn't find information on like guidelines as to how they make those choices on who gets to be on the Charter Commission, which I thought was really interesting. So I guess it might be just based on like personal opinion. I don't know.
There's so many spaces within politics that people just don't know, like the Charter Commission, that I think like you would think so many of the positions of power, specifically high power, are like elected, are voted on.
Right.
But like something like this is not, and like that really curates and creates the literal boundaries of like the city, which is interesting.
This job is also completely voluntary, which means there's no compensation for it.
Interesting.
And that is for sure a hindrance to people that are like living paycheck to paycheck.
Of
like
course.
they can't take time out of their day to be joining something like
Do you
this
know how
for
often?
free.
Do you know how often the Charter Commission meets?
I believe they meet once a month.
Okay, interesting.
On like
Interesting.
Wednesdays or something. Yeah.
Maybe one of us should apply to become part of the Charter Commission.
Maybe we should.
Maybe you should apply to become a part of the Charter Commission. Who knows? So how do you apply to become a part of the Charter Commission?
Well, good question.
Mm-hmm.
You apply on the current openings page of the city's website. So you'll go there and that should be open. There are 6 seats that will be opening up in 2025. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
So if you're interested.
You know, but also, like, wouldn't that be crazy if we could actually get, like, 6 young people in the Charter Commission?
That would be amazing.
Do you know what I mean? That
And
would
we could do
shift
that.
so much. We could.
So you just need to be a registered voter in Minneapolis. And it can seem kind of hard, but it really is just like an open appointments process. So you apply on that current openings page of the city website. But the things you're asked in the application is any applicable experience with civic, professional, or volunteer organizations, other city boards or commissions that you're a part of, any awards or special recognitions you might have, as well as listing the reasons you want to serve on the commission and the issues you think they should address. And then you're required to provide 3 references and any financial interests or associations with which you are involved that might present a conflict of interest.
Beautiful. Again, you too should apply to become a part of
You
the
can
Charter.
make a difference.
You can.
We
Believe
do.
it was possible.
Believe it was possible.
Believe it was possible. LOL.
They also post like videos. They'll post like all their, I think like their agendas and like videos of their meetings that you can like their public hearings and things like you can see all of that online. You can also apply to speak at one of like the public hearings.
Oh.
There's a lot of good information.
So why are we even talking about it? Like, what's so important? Like, why should people stay engaged in terms of what the Charter Commission specifically is doing?
Yeah, I think, well, with these 6 seats opening up, we want to encourage, especially young people, to apply.
Right.
Because that will literally give us like our voice power in that specific room, in those spaces where they get to like propose amendments to the charter, and then they also will automatically serve as part of the redistricting group. Also, it's just something that people like genuinely, like you and I just found out about this a couple months ago or whatnot, a few weeks ago. Like it's something that isn't just like out there. This information, these things, like you really have to look for it. And unless you like work in politics or whatnot, which is not a lot of young people, like you just like don't know about these things, and people should know. These people in those positions are making decisions that affect us.
Literally. And
so we should also be in those spaces making those decisions or helping make those decisions.
That's so real. Yeah.
One more piece of hot tea.
Okay, I'm gonna sip the rest, the little that I have left.
I know. Here, I got you. So apparently, recently, the City Charter Commission, the Minneapolis Charter Commission, was trying to basically make city council members part-time.
What?
Yeah. The Star Tribune wrote a whole article about it. Like, they want to make city council members part-time. And you know what that means? That will definitely affect who can afford to run for city council. Like, if that's only your part-time job, if you're only being paid part-time for that amount of work that you do, come on, we know what that means. The amount
of work that the city council does.
Exactly.
And even that would affect how certain work is done within the city council. Because if you're only working part-time, not only will you probably have to work overtime, but you also it's gonna take a lot longer to get certain work done. Interesting.
Yeah,
so they're trying to be messy. They're trying to be messy.
So
that's the Charter Commission.
That is the Charter Commission. We will drop some more info. We'll drop the info on the links for things, probably.
Information. Let you know.
Info will be dropped in our bio. What else does Believe in What's Possible have going on?
We just had a lovely caucus and chill last week. It was great. And then coming up in May, get your calendars out right now. I'm watching you do it. Yes. Okay, cute. You got it. I see it. May 22nd, I had mentioned that I was spending some time with some cute friends. Believe in What's Possible in Vogue Down Minneapolis will be hosting a drag show at Lush Lounge and Theater from 7. Doors open at 6:30. Show starts at 7. It's going to be a beautiful representation of just artists really demonstrating kind of like how they view politics and the political climate through art, specifically through drag. It's going to be beautiful. We're really excited. Also on May 18th, we have our Scheme Space. And that's good. That's our lovely monthly third space where we just host a vibe. We talk about the things. We do some cute stuff. And it's really going to be chill. So make sure to follow us on Instagram. I want to give a shout out to our space in QT Castle for allowing us to have this lovely, to host our podcast through this lovely, 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 lovely house. And also just thank you to the viewers. Thank you to the listeners. Subscribe, keep engaged, join the movement.
Join the movement.
And yeah, we thank you. Believing it's possible.